Man, I'm sure this is really good content, but the problem with me looking at it is that I don't, in the YouTube segment, I don't want to have to open with like, hey, did you, Andrew, just to let you know, Andrew Callahan has some like really bad accusations against him from multiple women, you know? Kind of a rough thing to intro on.
COVID, they thought they had the keys to the kingdom. They thought they had brainwashed all of us, and they were going to be able to shut down society, make remote schooling permanent, bring in central bank digital currencies, get rid of cash. This whole agenda that's kind of been revealed, they thought they were going to get all of it, but it didn't work because too many people rose up and stopped it. But Big Pharma has been doing these scares for a long time, and when they do that, primarily it's pump and dump. It's pump up a stock price, get the federal government to give a ton of money to a big pharma corporation, get that.
In this rally, do you think we are going to see a single person who looks like they might vote for Kamala Harris?
Stock price high, get all this vaccine or drugs or whatever out there, try to get as many people to take it as possible, and if they don't take it, they ship it all off to black and brown countries, and if they take it, fine, and if they don't take it, they throw it away. They don't care. They've made their money. So I'm not scared of monkeypox, bird flu, chicken pox, I mean, whatever it is they're saying we need to be scared of now, because most of these are really just pump and dump schemes. They're just trying to take public money and give it to Big Pharma.
We will have our new 1776 moment, and we will rise above.
I don't think this guy's voting for Kamala Harris either. I'm gonna be real with you.
Above the low vibration, fear, division, and hate that is propagated by the Uniparty, the Republicans, and the Democrats. My name is Kyle Kemper, child of the earth. I have a bus called the Kennedy Bus.
Oh, wow!
Huh.
Can I hop in?
If you want to be taken seriously by, The Guardian, you want to kind of rise into that.
Big paper, London, 9th largest English language publication in the world, The Guardian.
You need to close the chapter on this ski mask. Do you guys understand that we're in the year 2024 and we have exponential technologies all around us?
Those of us who feel that way have no home other than Bobby's campaign in this election cycle.
People like yourselves are finally fed up.
My first cause was ending the war on drugs. It started...
I really do think that, like, what did I say before? That we should turn large portions of Canada into just a sort of permanent medieval... what I'm saying basically is we need to do an Attack on Titan. We need like a walled off country that is centuries behind us. Like they can have the loom, I think, and that anything past that, no. And because they're peasant brained, and I think they should just be kept there, keeping us safe from them and them safe from us.
In some part as sort of a selfish thing, right? It was a recognition in my own life of the roles that things like cannabis and psychedelics had played, and how early in my life I realized I had already been lied to about something very deep and fundamental. You could almost look at it like magnetism or something. There's a certain amount of like, and if you can overcome that force enough, you can get out of its thrall, its force. You can just outside of the window of that magnet's stickiness, and all of a sudden it falls away actually quite quickly. But how do you cut through? How do you reach somebody where they're at when they're in such an extreme fear state, and that's holding their worldview in place? We talk about the issues via a specific personality and try to align them as the perfect avatar.
This vindicates everything you've ever said about hippie culture. I've said it before and I'll say it again. Esotericism, crystal healing, magic, spiritual horoscopes, all this hippie woo-woo bullshit has always just been like the esoteric wing of fascism. The fascists were obsessed with this shit. The Nazis were obsessed with this shit. And underneath all of the like peace and love, we're children of the earth bullshit, you'll find that a lot of these people have really fucked up views. It's just kind of channeled through this aesthetic that seems a lot less, I don't know, a lot less malicious, Like, if you engage with some of these subcultures, it really won't take long before you start engaging with some Malthusian bullshit, Some like, there are too many humans on Earth and we need to depopulate. If you follow some of their positions through, like, invariably you end up either in like a conspiracy whirlpool or like Malthusianism, And it's not good.
of issues.
I love this guy right here.
One thing I learned about working with Vice President Harris is she always stand on business.
That whole paradigm is based on identifying the adversary by the worst possible caricature you can point at them. And then as an in-group activity, deciding that that is an accurate portrayal of that other person or group. And then the campaign promises, they never really come deeply, deeply into play. And by the way, independents just became, I believe, 51% of the electorate. So we're already the largest voting bloc.
Wait, what?
Independents, they never really come deeply, deeply into play. And by the way, independents just became, I believe, 51% of the electorate. So we're already the largest voting
That is not true.
bloc. The only thing keeping us out is the self-fulfilling prophecy from repeated messaging that there is no chance.
Independent candidate Robert F. Kennedy Jr. is saying, let's go, holding a fundraiser in Chicago.
My name's Michael Caine. I'm a former New York City public school teacher, but I was fired because I didn't get the COVID shot.
Cool. Great. Wow. Really incredible coalition of individuals we brought together for the RFK Jr. campaign. Classic RFK Jr. supporter bit.
And when that happened,
Also, hem your shirt, you bum.
the only person who really stuck up for me was Robert F. Kennedy Jr. He backed my lawsuits through Children's Health Defense, and we've been suing for over 3 years now.
Oh, that's great. So you're not just like a horrible piece of shit as a teacher. You're an active drain in the system. Like you're an anti-human. You're like you're worsening the world, and you directly financially benefit from RFK, like rhetorically and through the lawsuits. That's cool.
And it really was an important thing for my family. And when he announced he was running for president, I was all in right away. So that's why I'm here.
Free Palestine! In our lifetime, liberation is coming tomorrow, basically. Yep. I saw you at the protest. Who are you?
It didn't come tomorrow. I'm sorry. This video released more than 24 hours ago. It didn't come tomorrow. But I appreciate the sentiment.
I'm Sadal with Channel 5.
Are you pro-Palestinian?
I'm pro-Palestinian.
Hell yeah, one-state solution. Free Palestine.
Well, Bobby believes in a two-state solution. He believes that there's two people there with two national identities that both need their rights respected. Yeah, that's his opinion on it.
How do you feel about
RFK Jr. is like a big Zionist.
Trump?
I've never supported Trump or voted for Trump before. Personally, I'm not a fan.
Did Joe Rogan just make an endorsement in the 2024 election?
They do it on the left, they do it on the right. They gaslight you, they manipulate you.
Hold on, this mother
promote
copyright
narratives.
strikes
The only
like
one who's not doing that
crazy.
is Robert F. Kennedy Jr.
RFK Jr. then tweeted out that clip, captioning it in part, quote, "From one legitimate guy to another, thank you, Joe Rogan, for always putting substance first."
Just 2 hours later, Trump posted on Truth Social, quote, "It'll be interesting to see how loudly Joe Rogan gets booed the next time he enters the UFC ring. MAGA 2024.
He is not as bad as Kamala Harris is. He does respect some of our freedoms and some individual rights that I do appreciate.
Oh, wow. He likes Trump more than Kamala Harris? That's crazy. That's wild.
But, you know, recently it was revealed and exposed in the press that he played a big role in getting $60 billion approved for the Ukraine war behind the scenes, getting congressmen to vote for it. That's not a good sign. That's not a good sign to me for what a second Trump administration.
Guy who thinks that Trump is better than Harris, but then learns that Donald Trump was in favor in some ways of supplying Ukraine against Russia and thinks that's bad. Truly like representative of the electorate here, really bringing together like the best of this country, you know? Trump got that through? No. I mean, maybe, I don't think Trump, it would be in favor of like Russia instantly winning, at least not, well, I think it's complicated. There are some competing forces here.
Might mean, but there's no question the biggest threat we have right now is the DNC and Kamala Harris.
You know what someone told me the other day? That Kamala, you know what the root meaning of her name is? Snake.
Wow. Pew Research finds RFK supporters are basically apolitical and were unlikely to ever vote. He really does have like a very low IQ supporter base. And I mean that unironically. Like, I mean, I think they're genuinely like lower intelligence, lower contribution to society. They're just like worse people in a demographic sense. So it wouldn't be surprising to me if it's, yeah, like a rounding, it all just falls off, you know? Low critical thinking skills, yeah. In August, the following shares of each candidate's supporters said they were extremely motivated to vote. Harris 70%, Trump 72%, Kennedy 23%. These motherfuckers don't vote. They're just waiting for their next, like, welfare check so they can spend it on weed or something. I don't know.
Because of the Holy Spirit. Now, I don't know her personally, and I'm not trying to say that, I know her character, everyday life. I don't know that. But I do know anything Democratic, the policies are absolutely atrocious. Okay? Go to Detroit. Go to the south side of Chicago. Go to Baltimore. Go to some of these Democratic cities that have been run.
What are the common, that's interesting. What are the common demographic traits of the areas that he's describing?
By Democrats for decades, and that's all you need to look at.
Let's talk about the need.
All American cities are run by Democrats. Like, the rich side of New York is also run by Democrats.
Kamala. Now, Kamala is derived from the Sanskrit word kamal, which means the lotus flower.
Actually, a camel is a big horse with bumps on it.
Symbolizes resilience, persistence, humility, purity, and inner strength.
My name's Kevin. I'm an actor and activist here in Chicago, and I'm all for free speech. You could definitely call me a civil libertarian, so I say, let's hear the views. If people have perspectives, let's share them. America's about free speech. Let's exercise it.
Can you imagine how nice it must be to be this kind of guy? Like, to just be in your own whole world, Wouldn't that be cool? Like, to be unburdened in a way,
I heard that he made the bead. It was an RFK bead.
Oh, sorry, I didn't hear what. Say it again?
He made the bead.
What's that?
The RFK bead.
I'm just not understanding what you're saying. Say it again.
Robert F. Kennedy was part of the bead, making the bead.
Robert F. Kennedy, the father, or was what?
I'm not sure, it was part of making the beat. We had the RFK bean. This day 2 with the DNC, we're at the RFK bean. As you can see, it's a beautiful bean. The Frijol, as they say in California. Hello. I bet you $100 the Guardian can't come over here and record shit at the bean.
The bean? Oh, I don't know anything about that. I can tell you about the bean, though. The bean is actually also known as the Cloud Gate. The Cloud Gate, and it's right over there. It's a beautiful art piece. We call it the Bean affectionately here in Chicago. That's the thing about Chicago. We've got so much to share.
Today's video is sponsored by NordVPN.
Nope. You come in for the sponsor segment, huh?
Your independence. Bobby Kennedy, he's a modern Renaissance man. Knowing that his father was killed and his uncle was killed for trying to be that Jedi, to trying to be that change agent. For him to step in and say, you know what, the Jedis are returning, is a very powerful thing.
Do you feel like he's being silenced?
So the media has an ownership structure of a very few companies owning a very large amount of affiliates, and they present themselves generally as being objective, but there's a subjective leaning to it, and you can see the scripting across all the different channels as well, and the messaging. Lately, we saw the weird message from.
You know that old bit of wisdom, anti-Semitism is the stupid man's critical theory or class consciousness. I think that conspiracism in general is the stupid man's class consciousness. I think that people who are conspiratorially minded are correct in the whole, there's something wrong here, where, it's being played against us, there's a shadowy cabal, but then the shadowy cabal isn't anything super cool or interesting. The shadowy cabal is, corporate media. Like, it's not a secret. The power structure is listed publicly. It's all like, you just accept it. But a lot of the time they don't think that's the issue. They think there's something like beyond that. You know what I mean? So it's not really a shadowy cabal. It's like a sort of daylight cabal. It's pretty straightforward,
From the liberal media towards Trump.
These guys are just weird. That's who they are. So it isn't much else. Don't give them the power.
And we've also seen Kamala being painted as joyful and joy.
She seems to have really grown as a candidate.
Don't you copyright
What you
me.
see now is someone who is embracing her own joy. Now that also
Television for a reason. Television. And it comes through the channels and the programs.
I don't like this guy.
Robert Kennedy.
Everybody in the Kennedy campaign is coming from one of the other big parties. So nobody agrees on anything. That much I'll tell you. But we all agree in this. A two-party system is busted. We're either choosing this side, which is beholden to the government or the corporate interests, or we're choosing that side and they're beholden to a different set of corporate interests. Kennedy is all about fighting the impact of businesses within the government. He calls it corporate capture. There's a massive amount of regulation that is driven by a business interest.
Now, the pharmaceutical industry, the oil industry, the coal industry, the chemical industry, which I've seen firsthand throughout my career, you know, each of their agencies are captured. They become sock puppets for the industry they're supposed to regulate.
Now listen, I'm a business owner, and I understand what it means to try to drive your business, but our water's not clean.
My wife and I actually recently started getting all of our dairy and meat from an Amish farm. So
Jesus Christ. Enough with RFK and RFK supporters. I've had enough. I can't do them anymore. I can't. We have to stop with this, okay? We're going to have to deal with some version of this every election cycle. This guy was in your chat arguing about processed food. True! That's true. What corporate interests fund Democrats? Are they different significantly from Republicans? Okay. When we talk about corporate capture, we're not really talking about like something as obvious as suitcases full of money being exchanged, you know? What we're talking about is the entire economy, or at least a large portion of it, is corporate, right? It's a private economy. Like, obviously, elements of our economic activity are directed by the government, but a very large amount of it is private. And if you have a big business, like, say, for example, Lockheed Martin, and Lockheed Martin is responsible for employing millions of people, directly and indirectly, enormous amounts of wealth circulate through the country as a consequence of their decisions. You know, Lockheed Martin can say, hey, congressman, hey, president, you know, whatever else, I want to do X. We have plans to build this model. And, you know, it would produce a lot of jobs. It would be great for the economy. A lot of people be employed. We could build plants here, 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 and here. Hey, congressman, we're going to build plants in all of these states. Your state will benefit, increasing the likelihood of you getting reelected. Now, of course, none of this can happen unless you know, buy what we're building. We're building weapons of war here. We're not exactly selling to corner stores. You are the only person we can sell to. So, how about it? How about in your next congressional, budget bill, you increase the defense spending so that the Pentagon can portion out part of it to fund our research, development, and construction for this new program. That's normally how it goes. Now, that process works equally for both Democrats and Republicans. You know, that element of corporate influence on politics, that's not partisan. You know, that happens in many different ways, many different businesses, to everyone. Everyone is susceptible to this. There's no way around it either, because again, like, you do need to kowtow to corporations to some extent because they are kind of necessary for keeping the country going, you know? You can't tell them what to do. Is that public? Where do you get that? I want to read about it. Is that yeah, it's public. Lobbying? You can just, yeah, they lobby. That's what lobbying is. That's what they do when they lobby. That's the reason why lobbyists usually talk to congresspeople and not to the president, because the congresspeople are the ones who write and work on the budget. They're the ones who vote on it, you know? Well, anyway, so there's that element of corporate capture, but then there are other elements as well, where, for example, the fossil fuel agency, the fossil fuel companies, they would benefit from us leaning really, 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 really hard into fracking, you know? Mass corporate farming chains benefit from the subsidies that we offer for, say, corn growth, you know? And since Republicans lean more into being pro-fracking or pro fossil fuels, there's like an element of incentive and bias there. Then you have, of course, media, and, you know, oftentimes media corporations are owned by, or at least the people who own it are friends with, the people who work in politics or other business or whatever. It's very rarely as simple as just, like, they give money. How does lobbying work for non-economic issues where there's no financial incentive? Give me an example. Gay rights. Gay rights organizations historically have not had much lobbying power. Usually that's why stuff is done on that end from the activist perspective, where there's less money but more popular support, where it's less of a corporate interest and more of a human interest. It's usually something that's done by by activist groups. The threat then is not the increase or removal of money, but rather the increase or removal of votes. Yes, gay people are broke. That is true. Right, but my question is, which industries/groups fund Dems versus Republicans? Other than fossil fuels being pro-right, who supports the Democrats? I mean, a lot of this you can just look up the biggest donors. I mean, there are like lists you can Google. A lot of it, I mean, corporations don't make donations. It's people that make donations. You know, the super PACs, Citizens United, dark money means we don't have like a direct rundown of where all the money comes from. So we don't really know. It's more like how in bed are those corporations with the government under those administrations. And for that, you usually need stuff like regulatory capture, like to look at, you know, how directly does a presidential administration or a party work with representatives of a company, or does it employ them after they've not graduated? I say graduated, like, because that's the career path, right? To go from corporate rep to policy advisor to lobbyist. It's like the perfect Washington career path. A lot of corporations usually donate to both parties too. The ratios are just different. Yeah, of course. Because a lot of corporations don't actually care which of the two parties win. Not really, at least. They just want to make sure they're in good with whoever does win. So they give money to both sides. And that varies depending on the corporation or the person involved. Should leftists lobby? Sure, go crazy with it.